On a sad day in solo leveling, during Gunhee's funeral, Jin Wu quietly approached Jin Chul, asking how he was holding up. Jin Chul, visibly shaken, apologized for not being himself. Still processing the loss, he asked whether the creature that took down the chairman was truly unstoppable, even for Jin Wu. It all felt surreal to him, especially since just a day ago, the chairman had expressed interest in hearing more about Jin Chul's experience in the U.S. He sincerely thanked Jin Wu for standing by the chairman in his final moments. But Jin Wu denied any praise, declaring instead that he had failed, and swore on his life that he would personally hunt down and eliminate the monster responsible for the chairman's death. He then instructed Jin Chul to gather the press for an official announcement. Even with limited space, the press room was swarming with reporters. Drawn by urgency and curiosity, they crowded in, eager to hear Jin Wu's words. A highly intelligent monster faction was actively targeting the world's top-ranked hunters. These creatures weren't just powerful. They were vastly superior to most hunters, immune to traditional weapons and unconcerned with conventional methods of killing. One reporter asked if the monster that had killed the chairman was part of this faction. Jin Wu confirmed it, explaining that these beings excelled at disrupting teleportation magic and isolating their victims, making escape or assistance nearly impossible. He urged those who felt vulnerable to stay close to trustworthy allies capable of defending them. Jin Wu recalled that the creature had introduced itself as the Monarch of Frost. Thinking back to the Monarch of the beginning, he came to a chilling realization. Anyone who claimed the title of Monarch was far beyond the reach of even the strongest hunters. These weren't just powerful enemies. They were on another level entirely. Addressing those who had no one to turn to, he invited them to reach out through the Korean Hunters Association. In solo leveling during a secretive gathering inside a cavern, the Frost Monarch reveals that the Shadow Monarch has surfaced on Earth. He reminds the others that the Shadow Monarch once claimed no vessel could ever withstand his full power. Yogamont questions whether that's the same reason the Dragon King cannot remain on the surface for long. But the Ice Monarch firmly states that he witnessed it firsthand, and warns that the Shadow Monarch poses a greater threat than even the fragment of light. He declares that he'll handle the situation personally. He turns to the rest of the monarchs, asking if they are willing to assist him. However, another monarch speaks out, cautioning that going up against Jin Wu is suicide. He emphasizes that Jin Wu stands among the strongest of their kind and suggests they wait for the Dragon King's return. The Blue Grandpa expresses his irritation, pointing out that despite being monarchs, all they do is hide and wait. He argues that this is their one opportunity to defeat the Shadow Monarch while he still exists in his human form. He pleads for their support, promising to shoulder the consequences and erase the Shadow Monarch completely. Yogamont says he refuses to share the fate of the Monarch of White Flames. The Beast Monarch mocks them, calling them cowards. But the Blonde Monarch rebukes him, reminding everyone of what happened to the White Flame Monarch. He says he refuses to fall victim to the Shadow Monarch's authority and be trapped in eternal slumber. The Beast Monarch counters, arguing that the Shadow Monarch shouldn't be able to enslave them since they're in their true forms. But the Blonde Monarch responds that it appears the Shadow Monarch is cooperating with the Architect, and now has the ability to create replicas of them. He refuses to become a pawn in someone else's world. With that, Yogamont and the Blonde Monarch return to their gates. The Beast Monarch then asks what proof they have that Jin Wu is still human. Holding up a dagger, the Frost Monarch explains that it's been coated with poison, something Ashborn, the original Shadow Monarch, would never have done. Smirking, a sultry female monarch remarks that if the Shadow Monarch had full control over his body, he wouldn't need to rely on cheap tricks. The Frost Monarch then asks if she'll join the mission. Grinning, she and the Beast Monarch agree to take part in the plot to eliminate the Shadow Monarch. And so the conspiracy begins to unfold, and the battle edges closer. In solo leveling, Wu Jin-chul urges everyone to consider who will protect them when another S-rank gate appears. He emphasizes that even with massive amounts of money, they wouldn't be able to buy their survival in such life-threatening scenarios. Back during the Jeju Island raid, while Hunter Sung Jin Wu was battling the Ant Army, the chairman who was observing him made a heartfelt statement. Now that his wish had been granted, he could finally rest peacefully, though he never expected to meet his end like this. Elsewhere, Jin Wu sits atop a rooftop, dismissing the current method since he still can't sense his magical power. At that moment, we receive a status update. As he recalls his confrontation with the Frost Monarch, he remembers how the monarch lacked a shadow and claimed to be in his original form. Jin Wu also recalls the words of the Monarch of Giants, that being in their true forms makes them immune to becoming shadow soldiers. Still, Jin Wu brushes it off. As a hunter, his instinct tells him he never lets a target escape. Meanwhile, in a meeting room, an official announces that it's been a week since the chairman's seat became vacant, and it's time to name a successor. He points out how important the chairman's role was, being not only an S-rank hunter but also the head of the Hunters Association, which managed Korea's top 5 guilds. Now, without that guiding force, who can keep the guilds in check? A suited official, wearing glasses, asks if the idea is to appoint another S-rank hunter. He notes that while such hunters carry significant influence, hiring someone from outside must be done with caution. After long discussions, he and the board suggest Wu Jin-chul as the next president of the association. Caught off guard, Jin-chul questions the decision. The advisor explains that he had worked the closest with the previous president, gained the most insight, and displayed strong leadership and operational skills. He adds that there's no rule stating only an S-rank hunter can lead, and Jin-chul's presence alone commands authority and respect. Despite the praise, Jin-chul humbly declines, saying he lacks many of the qualities expected for such a distinguished position. He insists that other hunters are more qualified, citing his youth and inexperience. He even proposes that the vice president's role might suit him better. Still uncertain, Jin-chul asks why he should take the very seat President Gunhee once occupied. He's reminded that very few have the power to influence Korea's top guilds, but he does. He has deep connections with powerful guilds and, more importantly, with Sung Jin Wu. Jin-chul acknowledges the logic, but admits he's unsure whether Jin Wu would feel the same. As he stares at the empty seat, he's told the final decision is his to make, and they respectfully ask him to consider the offer. Jin-chul agrees to think it over,